All right, welcome back, guys. So this is the second half of activity 134. So for this one, we're going to make a second design. Now this design is actually going to be this product over here. It's called a precision screwdriver set, and we're just going to be making the base of this, okay? So what this is it holds smaller, more detailed screwdrivers in these slots, and then has a cover over it, but we are just focusing on the base of this today, okay? So we're going to make a little modification to some of these notes from PLTW, but for the most part, we will be following along with this. So first things first, we need to put a pentagon down. We need to do an extrusion at negative 45 degrees. Make sure it's going an inward flare. And then we're going to make this second extrusion up here in a moment. So first things first, go back to Fusion. Make sure we are in our activity 134 folder. And make sure we have a new file open. I'm going to go ahead and hit hide data panel so that's out of the way. So I'm going to do a new sketch. I'm going to select the bottom plane for this one, not the front one we normally do, but the bottom for this one. I'm going to go ahead and use my polygon. I'm going to go ahead and do our circumscribed polygon. Okay, I'm going to click on my origin, drag it out. I'm not going to type a diameter for right now, so go ahead and skip that and just hit tab. And let's change that to 5 sides so that we have a pentagon for us. And then go ahead and hit enter. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make mine squared off. So I'm going to go horizontal. I'm going to click this bottom one, and that way it's sitting up straight. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to actually add a dimension for this. It doesn't tell us one, but I'm going to make the length of one of these 2.5 inches. Okay, and then hit enter. All right, so now we have our polygon. We have a dimension added. It's sitting up straight. So from here, we're going to do a small extrusion actually. So we'll finish our sketch. We'll go to home. And then let's go ahead and do an extrusion. And it's just going to be a super small one of 0.1. And this just gives us a little bit of a platform to go off of for the rest of it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to click on the top surface. We're going to go to sketch. And one of the new things we're going to learn today actually is called project. So I'm going to give you a preview. This isn't necessary, but this is what we're going to use throughout it. And so what we're going to do is use project, or P for a shortcut on your keyboard. So when you click on this, you can click on other features. So for example, I'm clicking on the pentagon. And when you do that and you say okay, it's projected the outline of what you clicked, and you can see now there's like a purple outline going on. It's projected whatever you clicked behind the sketch up to your sketch, okay? So we'll be using this a lot throughout the activity. I'm just giving you a quick, easy preview of it. So I'm going to exit out of my sketch, okay? I'm going to use extrude. Now for this, I'm going to do a 0.3 inches extrude, okay? But in PLTW, they told us that we wanted to do it at a negative 45 degree angle. And so what that's going to do is it's going to be your taper angle, and it's going to taper in the sides so it's at a slant, and I'll kind of show it to you. So it's extruding, but at the same time, tapering the angle at negative 45 degrees. Okay. And when you're done with that, you can go ahead and say okay. And now we got our pentagon on the ground for right now. Next up, so we have this slant going on here. We're going to extrude this up, okay? So we're going to come back over here. We're going to go ahead, let's practice our project again. So let's make a sketch. Put one down. Let's practice our project. Or you can always hit P on your keyboard. We're going to click on these lines here. We'll hit OK. And once again, it's projected that pentagon up to our sketch. All right. We'll go ahead and finish our sketch. You can see it there, that purple. We'll extrude it. Let's go ahead and do this 1.5 inches. Hit enter. Okay. Next, let's go back to see what they want us to do. Oh, we're going to use a loft feature. So loft feature is new to us. We haven't seen this before. Okay. So in order to use a loft feature, we need to, for ours at least, make an offset plane. So an offset plane, I'm not sure if you can see this too well, is when we put a plane, and we're going to put a sketch on here, we put a plane up above where a flat surface is. We're offset it from something else, okay? So usually it hovers off to the side, it hovers above, it hovers somewhere. It's offset. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do construct an offset plane. And you can see in this preview image there, you can see they clicked on the top part of their box and then they offset it above it. So for us, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click on here. It's going to say, how far would you like us to offset that for you? And we are going to say 0.3 inches. Okay, we'll hit enter. And now you'll see it's floating above it. That's where our offset plane is right there. Okay. Now the reason we did that is because we want to actually put a sketch up here. So we're going to click on this surface. We're going to make a sketch. We're going to go ahead and grab a circle. We're going to click on our origin. We're going to drag it out. And the diameter we want to make this is 2.8 inches. And then we'll go ahead and hit enter. Okay. We will go ahead and hit finish sketch. And now you can see we have that circle that's floating above the top of this. Okay. They are not in line with each other. They are separate. Now, the cool thing about loft is it basically meets these two planes together. Okay. So to find loft, we're going to go to create. We're going to go to loft. And you can see in this preview kind of what we're doing here. We're going to click the bottom square. And then we're going to click the top circle, and their edges are going to meet as they extrude, okay? So we're going to click on this top piece. We're going to click on this circle, and then you can see from this angle how those edges met up at a diagonal, okay? And then go ahead and hit OK. And now we have our loft feature there. Next, after we do our loft, it wants us to extrude that up, okay? And then it wants to round off that edge, meaning that we're going to use the fillet, okay? But actually, before we do that fillet, I'll probably do that towards the end, but we will add that little fillet towards there, okay? Lastly, we'll add some holes. We'll add the shell feature, which will make sense in a moment, and then we'll be finished with it, okay? So next off, let's extrude that up. So we are going to do extrude. We're going to select this surface. We want to extrude this up 1.1 inches. Hit enter or OK. Next thing, we're going to add those holes to the top. So I'm going to click on this surface. I'm going to hit sketch. Okay. I'm going to do my first hole. I'm going to put it in the center. This one's going to be bigger than the rest of them. So for this one, the diameter is going to be 0.75 inches. Okay, go ahead and hit enter. Make sure it's locked on to the center. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. We're going to extrude it. And we want this to be extruded negative 2.3 inches. Okay. And then we can hit OK or enter. So we got our first hole. Next, we want to do our other 5 holes that we add. So we're going to click on the surface again, make another sketch up top. We're going to do a circle and go ahead and estimate kind of around here. It won't be perfect, okay? Drag it out. This circle is going to be smaller. It's only going to be 0.375 inches. Go ahead and hit enter. Okay. And then for this one, I'm going to go ahead and make a circular pattern. You could do this after you extrude the hole and cut the hole out, or you could do it now. It honestly does not matter, just personal preference. So I'm going to select this object. I'm going to select which center point I would like to base my pattern off of. I'm going to do 5 holes, and then I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Then I'm going to come over and finish my sketch. I'm going to come to extrude. I'm going to select all 5 of these, and I'm going to say negative 2.3 inches, and then I'm going to hit OK or enter. Okay. So from here, we have all 5 of our holes. We have our main one in the center that is bigger. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to add a shell. So I know we saw it over here in PLTW a moment ago. What shell does is it basically takes out the inside of a solid. So my best description would be like if you had a chocolate dipped strawberry, right? The shell would be the chocolate on the outside. The strawberry is going to be the solid. So what a shell does is it takes out the strawberry and it leaves the chocolate. Okay. So for us, we are going to go to, let me move this, modify, and then we're going to go to shell. Okay. You can look at the little preview picture there and kind of get an idea. So we are going to actually go to the bottom, okay? And we're going to select the bottom face. Just click once. And how far we want to extrude this is we want to do 0.1 inches, okay? You can see in our preview how it's taking out all of the inside of that. And then we're going to go ahead, enter or okay. Let it load for a moment. There it goes. And then you can see there. It took out all of the insides, otherwise aka the strawberry, and it left behind the chocolate shell. Okay. Last but not least, we are going to personalize our screwdriver holder. So go ahead and click on this front face. We're going to add a sketch to it. And we're going to learn about text. So text is pretty easy. If you go up to your normal line, circle, rectangle, all of that jazz, we're going to go down to text. Okay. I'm just going to make a text box. Click once, then click twice when you're done. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you'll see a sample text here. So your sample text can be typed over here. I'm going to go ahead and put my name. You can put your name. You could be Colonial High School, CHS, just something school appropriate. I'm going to make mine centered. So it's like that with my name. And I'll leave, actually, I'll make this 0.4 inches. Okay. You can change the size of this. You can change the font. It's up to you. You can personalize this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK when I'm done and ready. I'm going to finish my sketch. All right. So I have my sketch there. However, that's not actually doing anything yet. The next tool we're going to learn about is emboss. Okay. There's an emboss, which is this option, and there is deboss. Emboss is going to extrude our font or our design out, whereas deboss is going to engrave it into the surface. So the first thing we need to select is our sketch profile. So we're going to click on our sketch, which for me is my text. Okay. Then for faces, it wants to know what face are we going to be either extruding off of or extruding into. So I'm going to click this face, this front one I put the sketch on. Okay. And what you can see here is, actually, let me do a side profile. Okay. It's extruding my name out because I'm doing emboss, which is fine. We can do emboss. That's great. Or we can do deboss, and you can see now it's extruding in. Okay, it's cutting it out. And that's if you want to be engraving your name into the block like that. Either is okay with me, whichever one you like. I think I'm going to leave mine as deboss. Okay. And then you can go ahead and hit OK when you've decided. And then now my name is engraved into my screwdriver holder. Okay. One of the last things PLTW wanted you to learn is the measure tool. So if we go all the way down, we already did all this. Our last thing is measure. So it's going to say, measure your model to gather dimensions to inform another designer about the geometry important to the design on top part of the case. Measure the following: top edge diameter or radius of the tapered circular extrusion on your base part. And what that means is that fillet that you added on that rim. They want to know, hey, what's that diameter or radius of that? So to do that in Fusion, all you have to do is inspect, go to measure, and now you have your measure tool open. And you can go ahead and click on the different surfaces. Oh, actually, we didn't add a fillet. Let's go ahead and add that. So fillet, go ahead and go right here. We're going to do a 0.1 inch fillet. Sorry about that. Hit enter, okay. There we go. Okay. Now we can do measure. Click on this surface. And then here you can see that radius of that arc that we have. It's 0.1. Okay, so we can come over here. We can go in our PLTW and we can say 0.1 inches. Next, it wants to know about the bottom edge diameter or radius of the tapered circular extrusion on your base part. And all those words mean is this bottom part of the cylinder right here where it starts. It wants to know what's that diameter or radius. So once again, you can click off to the side when you don't want to measure anything anymore. Now everything's unhighlighted. And then I can click on something I do want to highlight. So I'm going to click this radius right here. Once again, it's saying it's 1.4. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do 1.40 inches. Lastly, the height of the circular extrusion, which is this cylinder right here. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to unclick off to the side so nothing's highlighted anymore. Let's see. I'm going to try this one and maybe this top one. And you might have to play with it a bit. But right here. So from this top piece to this top surface, okay, it's 1.1 inches, which is what I wanted to know. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do 1.10 inches. And now I've measured all of this. So whenever you want measurements and you can't quite remember what it was, you could always do the inspect the measure method, and you can click on different surfaces and find out what's the distance, the angle, the radius, the diameter, anything like that. Okay. Now that's the end of this one. So go ahead and save this one. It's going to be activity 1.3.4. This is going to be number, let's check it. 29. Let's do number 29. So number 29, and go ahead and make sure it's in your 134 folder, and go ahead and upload that to Canvas, and you guys are good to go.